Okay, so in previous class we have learned how to handle exception in Spring Boot, and this is what we did. So there were like three steps. First step was create your custom exception class. Whatever you're feeling that okay, this should be handled in exception. So you can create one exception class by extending runtime exception. Create two constructors, default and parameterized, and have this field which you will initialize. Okay, and this can be used in future. Like you can create one more method which says get the error message or something. So you can return this message. Next step was create a global exception class handler. And how we do that? By marking that class by using at
It-
controller advice. Huh? So this will handle all the exception and a place where all the exception will be encountered. So this was the second step. And third step was we have to create a method which will be particular that exception we are creating. So we have created one custom exception, student ID not found exception, and there we are. This is the exception, and so that method has to be marked with at exception handler, and make sure that you have this message here. That student ID exception dot class. That's the syntax of it, and then you can write whatever you want as per your convenient and it will work. But issue what we were facing, and if we test it or run it, we were not getting this message or this error message or particular API response in the structure we want. So let's run this application again. Okay, service is up. Here's the postman, and if I request the ID handler is not present in database, if I request it, I'm getting some default message from Springboot. This is not our message, right? It's from
Yes, sir.
Springboot, and this is not what we want. We want our customized message. And if we check, this console, we are getting one message from the method coming from the global exception handler there. But what we want this whole structure like we were getting. In case if I request one, so something similar we want, right? And if I show you that controller class, so now we don't have that else block, right? We have commented out. So if student is there, only then controller will execute, otherwise nothing is there. So the key thing was we are missing one piece of code. Once we add that, so our code will be complete. Complete means that custom response plus this exception handling. Okay, so how we do that? We are going to use response entity class, right? That class we have to use. So, before we start anything, we always go through the class. Let's do that. Okay, so we are going to use response entity Spring Boot. Not an Spring Boot. We want to see the Java doc of it. So here's the Spring official documentation. Extension of HTTP entity that adds an HTTP status code used in REST template as well in controller methods. So if you have any class which is marked with REST template or at controller annotation, so you can use this response entity class. And if you see, you will notice response entity, then we have a angular bracket, and then what we have a type here, not the generic.
Entity.
So that means you have to pass something here. So that we will see
Okay,
what is
sir.
that. And if you notice something similar here, response entity, it has a string, some response is coming back, there it is, and something is happening. Don't worry about that code. Let's talk about this one. At least you can understand this code. What do you say? Right? If you notice, this is something else. Public response entity string, and we have a method handle. See, that's how we use response entity. Response entity, angular bracket, and then the class type. Right now, what class they are using? String. We will use our own class. Okay, so I can pick it from here to where is it? Okay, so the idea is I just want to show you how our response entity class looks like, and what it says. Extension of this, we should have this structure as well, the signature, to understand the documentation. See, we should be
Sir,
always good. in the structure.
सर
हम
यहाँ पे रेस्ट टेम्पलेट करके था, वो किस लिए यूज होता है सर?
को भी क्लास है,
यहाँ पे
usually
है
we
सर।
don't use that
यस
much,
सर। हाँ यहीं पे
used in
सर,
REST
रेस्ट
template.
टेम्पलेट
Hmm.
एज वेल।
REST template हमने एक इंट्रोडक्शन यूज किया था क्लास में कंट्रोलर पे,
किसमें सर?
कंट्रोलर, रेस्ट कंट्रोलर।
यस सर।
तो ऐसे ही और सारे तरीके हैं रेस्ट टेम्पलेट बनाने के, मतलब एक टेम्पलेट टाइप होता है थ्रू विच वी कैन क्रिएट रेस्पॉन्स,
ओके।
मतलब एक प्री डिफाइंड स्ट्रक्चर होता है एंड दैट कैन बी यूज्ड फॉर अवर पर्पस, लाइक इट कुड बी फॉर जनरेटिंग रेस्पॉन्स और कस्टमाइजिंग रेस्पॉन्स। मल्टीपल तरीके हैं सेम काम करने के, वी आर लर्निंग थ्रू रेस्पॉन्स एंटिटी। Okay, so now we have idea what is response entity, a little bit of it, and the key thing is what you have to notice here, that this is used like this way, response entity and this class. There it is. Okay, so this is fine. Now let's move and see how to use it. So what I'm going to do, for a while, skip this exception class. Let's focus on controller. Okay, how we are going to use on controller. Fine. So as of now, how it's working in case, in positive case scenario, okay? Request sending, ID1 is there and we are getting a success response. So let's fix this one through response entity. And you already have noticed how we are going to use it. We just have to change the method return type. So right now, what's our method return type? API response. Now we have to change it from API response to response entity. And its angular brackets, we will pass API response. Okay. So this remove it, response entity, here it is, and for T I'll pass API response and done. That's it. This change you have to do in your class. Of course method will complain that you are expecting response entity of API response type, but you are just passing object. So no, we'll fix it. No more direct API response, we won't directly do that. We will create object of response entity. Okay, and the simplest way is what you can do, you can say return, then you can use response entity, this one. Oh sorry, response entity, this one. Okay, you have to use, and we won't use anything here, and then dot body, and inside body you have to pass API response and semicolon. See, this is the way you have to use it. So what we just did here, we have created a class and we have called its static method. Okay, I'm just explaining you how it's working. So we created a class response entity, then we're calling its static method, that is okay, and it returns object type, and that object dot body is calling, and body takes one any object type or T type maybe. So that is static method. Okay. So there's a class whose name is body builder. Fine. This is actually a builder design pattern. That's how it works. We have multiple design patterns in our development or in the software industry. All programming languages follows or supports or implement these design pattern. Okay, so design patterns are not based on programming languages. Programming languages are based on those design patterns, and we have multiple wide categories of it. So one of the design pattern under one category is body sorry builder design pattern. So this class is also based on it, that body builder class. So responsibility called one method which is static, and this returns an object which object dot call body, and if you check the body it takes one T type here. T is something which you are passing as an object type. So how does it know that you have to pass API response? Because we have mentioned here that a response entity takes API response. So it is written this way. So if you're not getting it, so for first time you just understand it. If you want to return API response entity, you have to do this much body, and then whatever object you want to return as a custom object, just pass that, and that's it. अभी रट लो, बाद में काम आ जाएगा. ओके, धीरे जब
ओके
यूज
सर।
करोगे तो समझ में आ जाएगा. अभी इसको ऐसे यूज करना है जो भी
सर बॉडी, एक मिनट सर, ये बॉडी का क्या यूज था, एक मिनट आगे रिपीट करना, मतलब
बॉडी का
बॉडी।
तो बॉडी बिल्डर टाइप होगा, बिकॉज वी आर कॉलिंग ऑन इट responsibility and T type. So this is all
ओके सर।
responsibility class. No? Okay, so let's rerun the application and see how it works. So right now we are checking positive case scenario where things are there in database. There's a postman, request send, and see nothing has been changed, right? Everything's fine. Nothing has changed. Now let's do the same thing on here in this class. Where is that handler class? So now what we're expecting? API response. Sorry, not API response, response entity. So if I try to request 100, we are getting this one. Okay. So let's try to implement response entity here as well. Okay, like we did there. So response entity, API response. Okay, done. And of course, if I do this change, so it will expect objects. This right now I'm commenting for you. Okay. So in future you can change it. So it will say return response entity dot okay dot need to pass body and API response, whatever class you have as a custom object, and that's it. So changes is done. Let's try to run this code and let's just say run run.
सर इसे एक बार और मतलब ये वाला रिस्पॉन्स एंटिटी समझ नहीं आया।
वही तो क्या सेम तो क्या व्हाट्स डिफरेंट, एक रन करते हैं फिर बताता हूँ.
ओके
See, things are changed now. Now we are requesting handler ID and we have a message. So
यस सर
exception handling, or you can say this control advice works with response entity. If you want to customize your response, plus you want to handle the scenarios, exception scenarios, so you need to use both in same place. Okay, control advice plus response entity. Only then you will get your customized response. Okay, and so what we did at first place, we changed a positive case scenario when we were requesting ID1 and that's present in database. So we added response entity, then our object type, and rest of the code was same. Thing was how to return this response entity. So either you can go for new keyword or you can go for static approach. So the either one will work fine. So I tend to use this one. This is quite straightforward. It says okay. What is okay? Any idea what is okay here? Excuse me.
नो
This
सर आई
this okay.
थिंक
There it
सर
is. This okay.
ओके
Okay.
सर
Hmm. So we are telling response is okay.
सर ये ओके वगैरह जो मतलब यहाँ पे हम जो लिख रहे हैं रिस्पॉन्स बॉडी डॉट एंटिटी के बाद जो हम मतलब ओके डॉट बेड रिक्वेस्ट वगैरह लिख रहे हैं मतलब वो हमारे स्टेटस हैं।
Right? These are status, HTTP status. So
यस
what I did here, I have changed from OK to bad request. Okay? And I've already started the application. Let's see the impact. Requesting one. See what it's saying here. Anna, it got
ओके
changed.
सर
So we are the developer, we knows what we wrote. So if everything is fine, working as expected, so you can handle this kind of scenarios. So if controller is coming with good response, so we can say okay. But to show you, to demonstrate how it works, so what I did, I changed to bad request. And likewise, we have multiple, you know, status type or status code. There are some commonly used thing. So bad request is for 400. Bad request. Not found is for 404. So I'm going to use not found. Okay, let me show you. Not found. But it won't return anybody because it says no, not found, right? But things will change. Okay, not found won't work here. I'll change a different way. But not found returns 404, not found. So bad request 400 code and the actual was okay. That means we got the response and it's correct. So let's run the code and see. Okay, so that's how we change the response entity object. So case here, we started the application and if I run this code, you will get 200. Okay, okay. So that's the code.
ओके
200 is code and okay is the status. There's one more class which I really want you guys to go through. It's HTTP status. Okay. Mhm. See, there's a class whose name is HTTP status, and you can use this class to show multiple codes. And see, there are these enums. Any idea what is enum? Okay, so if no, good time to learn it. Check out what is enum in Java. So we have multiple enums here. Enum are
सर
mostly used
इनम
for constants.
सर इनुमरेटर ऐसा कुछ है सर इसका नाम
नहीं,
तो नहीं
वो
वो
that's
नहीं सर
different. Enum is in what you're saying. It's in collection. Collection में use होता है वो. Okay. So you can see we have multiple status code. It start from 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x पे जाता है. Okay. So it's your task to check out the status code as well. It goes like 1 till 5x. Okay. So every single numbers they have different meaning. So check out what these codes are, and I'll ask you tomorrow. Once you have this idea, so I'll start using these codes in code as well. Okay, in our code. Okay, so that's how we convert our response with responsibility. Why we are required? Why we need this thing? Because our exception handling was not working. Because idea was to return response from these classes. And thing is, with just API response, it was not working. So what we did, we have added response entity to this method return type as well. So it's not no more API response, it's response entity of API response type. That's how we read it. That's how we read it. Response entity of API response type. Like we have a list of string type, collection of that type, this type. So we have response entity of API response type. So once we're done with that, everything remains same like we did with custom response. The only thing you need to change whatever you have return type. So accordingly, you need to change the return type. So earlier it was just API response. Now it is response entity. So how we do that? API response entity dot OK, then body, and then API response has to pass as a object. That's it. So if you're not getting it still, just cram this line. It will be modified, but at least this remains same. This is the basic structure of response entity. After two or three concepts, I will create one more new project. There we will add some more functionality in our project because this is just for I have created this application for basic CRUD operations. So after this topic, we will start new project and whatever we have implemented, I will just start coding in front of you with some basic discussion. Then I'll give you start. Then I'll start giving you some same task again in your project. So you guys have to just enhance that code in your system. Okay, so we are done with that. But issue is if you okay, let me run this code again. Okay, application is up, and if I request 100 and send request, so it says status error. That's fine. It's coming from here. Then we have API stamp type. That's from here. Then path. We don't have path because it was homework. Then data. Definitely it's an error case, so data will be null. And then error message. This should have some message, right? We are not getting any message. So how we handle the scenario? Let's go back to service sample. So if you notice what I just did, I have called throw this exception from here, throw new student ID not ID, ID not found exception, but it's blank here, है ना? Blank है ये. So I need to give a message, only then this will get filled. So I'm saying the same message like we did earlier, student ID, then I will pass ID here, not found. Okay, that's it. And now I will rerun the code. So right now, in our exception class, we are saying this reference dot get message. You were asking yesterday that what is this get message? It's from exception class. So whatever message you will throw, it will have it. But right now we didn't pass any message from our service file, right? Now I have added one message here. So let's run the code and see. Requesting again. Okay, it's not coming. Let's check what's happening. Not found and handler. Mhm. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me show you the debugging mode as well. Okay, so I'm stopping the server. This time I will debug the code. Okay, so you just have to right click, left click on any line number, and click on this bug sign. So you guys will also learn it. I will take a proper class for this. How to debug the code. Okay, application is up. I'm requesting 100. Okay, it's here. And if I check detail message exception, okay, I called the wrong method. Why I'm saying this? Because I need to call this field exception message. My bad. I didn't notice it's not here. I haven't passed this message to up classes. Okay, I got the message. This time I did debugging for myself. Little I'll explain you guys how it's working. So to obtain that message, I will create one method: public string get exception message. Okay, and here I will just say return that string where it will get initialized here. I'm calling this constructor from service layer, passing the message. It comes here, initialize this field, and when I call get exception message, it goes from here, and then I will call get exception message. This is my own method, okay? And let's run the code again. Okay, service up, request sent. Now you can see we are getting a message, right? Student ID handed not found. Now it's proper dynamic code. Why I'm saying dynamic? Because from our service layer, I'm just saying if you are requesting ID and that ID is empty, that means that object is not there. So throw a message, sorry, throw exception with this message. When this happens, the control, listen carefully, once this happens, control gets transferred from here to the global class because we have a class which says at control advice, and it will look out for any exception which you know which has this thing student ID not found exception. So it matches with this exception and it matches with this. So it says okay, so I need to execute this method. So it execute this code, prints the message, and then whatever we have, it initializes all the object, fill them up with the data, and then create response entity object which says okay, and then body this. And if you see 200, that's wrong, right? David, what do you say? I'm requesting 400 and it's saying 200. Is it correct? It says not found, right? It should say not found 404 or something else. So let's just say not found, this thing. And or we can do one thing. Let me try. Okay, HTTP status code not found. Mm, 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 mm. If I use this, so need to change the whole scenario. Okay, we will do this in tomorrow or maybe next class. to change this whole scenario. For now, I'll make it simple. So next project, when we create a new project on Spring Boot, actual project, proper project we are going to, because whatever we did, so we have a base, normal understanding how it works. Now I will say
Bad request, sir.
no, bad request is fine, or something we can say because we need to pass a header or something. So multiple changes I have to do. So it's a first class, so I'll just say bad request for now. But that's not how it works. It should say not found 404. But to do all that changes, I need to change this whole stuff again. So at least you guys absorb this first, try to understand what happened here. Then we will do that big change in the response type. We have multiple ways to call this responsibility. Okay, so that's one of it. Okay, I changed the bad request, and if I request this time, it says bad request.
Bad request.
Okay, so now the response or the status matches with your request. It says 400, it says bad request, and then ID not found. Ideally, it should be 404 not found. But to change that thing, I need to change this line. But as I said, this will get evolve and keep changes as per our requirement. So as of now, you guys can focus on two things: OK and bad request. In next class, we will create new project from the scratch, like whatever we did, and then add all the features. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
today we just learned how to create custom response and how to combine that custom response plus response entity. So that's it for today. Any question or doubt?
सर इसमें डाउट आएगा जब करेंगे तब.
ठीक है, तो डाउट आने दो, तब वो करते हैं. तो आइडिया इज कि वी विल क्रिएट न्यू प्रोजेक्ट, okay, from the zero, or whatever application we did, there we will try to implement multiple things. Okay, so new, एक ये अलग प्रॉब्लम है. So we'll create new app. Okay, there first of all we will create DB connection like we did here. Okay, then we will do mapping in it. Okay, mapping means that one to many, one to one thing, one to many stuffs. So that we are going to implement. We haven't done it here because I want to do that in project, in actual project. Then once we're done with this, we will add logging. That's everything in the pipeline for you guys. Once we're done with this, then um, security, right? We need to add Spring security.
स्पिरिंग.
Just by
यस सर.
creating APIs, it won't help you in your interviews. You need to understand how Spring security works. So we will see OAuth, or uh, we will implement OAuth, but also there's one thing, JWT. Okay. Then okay, let's do this one first of all. Okay, so this is the idea. We will create this application, data connection we will do, then mapping will perform. We will log all the information. Then at the end we will add security, and later on we have other things like I told you to go through that. Remember, um, documentation. How we manage documentation of Spring Boot? Come on,
सर
I gave the
स्वेगर.
yes, Swagger. So we will add Swagger as well. Okay, in our existing APIs. So whatever functionality we can add, we'll try to add everything here. Okay, so this will be quite interesting for you guys because you guys have to do this, not me. Okay, so I'll definitely give you a structure, that this is a structure, follow it and write all the code, and I'll give you scenarios, try to perform, and parallelly I'll teach you uh, Java 8 features. Okay,
ओके सर.
so Spring Boot task, once I'm done with this all, I mean this one, two, three, four, five features, then I will start Java 8. So maybe 1 week we will spend here to add all these functionalities, and then after I'll give you features and functionalities. You guys have to work on it, and parallelly we'll start with
जब.
Java 8 features. Okay, in the class, and all the core Java stuff because we have to revise it again and again for your interview preparation. So that's a different thing. So okay, that's it for now. Okay, let's meet in next class. Bye.
ओके.